Nå skal vi se på høyttalere til 2 millioner kroner. Vi snakker om de nye Avantgarde-hornene. Dette er faktisk en europapremiere, og det er blitt noe helt nytt. De er nemlig blitt aktive. Og du vil ikke tro hvor mange watt de har i seg. Husk å abonnere og trykke like på våre videoer, sånn at vi kan fortsette å lage dem. Har du kanskje lyst til å høre hva de synes om lyden? Ja, vent litt grann, så skal du få vite det. This looks like a trio system, but it's a little bit different. Tell a little bit about it.
Yeah, actually it's more than a little bit. The first and most obvious thing is this column on the side, because it used to be just frame rails. And now we have this column on the side, and a little bit later we can show you what's inside. It's a technical column. So in this column we have everything that is electronics. And the second big change, and maybe you move around a little bit, so we can show this. We now have for the tweeter, not just a frame rail, but we have a board, a mounting board. And this mounting board for the tweeter also features a slider. So from now on, the tweeter can be time aligned with the two other drivers, because here the offset between the horns has been corrected compared to the older versions, so that we have coplanar drivers. So the magnets and the voice coils of the drivers are now all on the same plane. And depending on how you tow the speaker, the tweeter that has an offset from the other two needs to be pushed a little bit forward or a little bit backward to keep this coplanar approach. But then we have, of course, perfect wave launch. This has not been possible with the old version. And another big change is also here the foot frame. So this became triangular, used to be rectangular before, and is one massive piece of aluminium. So the whole speaker is now almost triple the weight of the old one.
What are you most proud about with these speakers?
Firstly, it is that we found a way to incorporate this coplanar idea, because it means that the offset between the horn needs to be bigger, and if you make the offset between the horns bigger, you get a bigger speaker. So you have to make sure that your overall design still gives a nice look, that you don't expand something like that was already a big speaker to something that looks to people like, oh, I can never accommodate this. And our industrial designer, our new guy, Mark Erle, he did a fantastic job on this. And the second thing is, now we move to the side, that we are really proud of is that we found a way to incorporate into the speaker not only the regular passive connection. Here you can see the passive crossover. Huge thing, because we're using huge parts, hand wound for us, for example, the capacitors. But also here on the bottom, we found a way to incorporate the amplification. So here is a three-way active unit with a built-in preamp function as well, so you can adjust here the overall gain and the gain of the single drivers as well. So you have a tonality adjustment here, and this comes all in one package. You don't have to take care of putting this somewhere else or incorporating it with the rest of the system.
How many watts do you need in this?
Can you guess?
Not much, but sometimes people have
3
watts.
So this is 3 times 3 watts. That's all we need.
Oh.
We have 109 decibels of efficiency, passive. So with one single watt, you produce 109 decibels of SPL. Who needs this in a living room? Yeah, you can do this maybe for 1 or 2 tracks. So all we care for is quality, not quantity.
It's not a small unit, so of course it has enough power.
It has enough power, and now we come to another interesting point. Because this amplifier is not your usual voltage amplifier. It is a current amplifier. A little bit explanation to that. Everybody who has physics classes, who had physics classes in his younger days, knows about the FBI rule of the left hand. Force, B stands for the magnetic field and its direction, and I stands for current. And it's the current that drives the voice coil. The acceleration of the voice coil is not determined by the voltage that's coming from your amp, and 99.9% of all audio amplifiers are voltage amps. It's determined by the current. And the current is usually created accordingly at the voice coil. But the voice coil is the worst location in the whole system to make this voltage to current conversion, because a voice coil is not a stable element. We all know that a voice coil has a resistance, but we don't call it a resistance, we call it an impedance, because it's constantly changing with frequency, with volume even, with power compression, so the heat also plays a role that builds up in the voice coil. We let the amplifier do it. And that's not a small effort. So if you look what's inside for a 3-watt amp, it's a lot.
What does people say when you say it's a 3-watt amp?
They don't believe me. They don't believe me. Only if I mention that we have 109 dB efficiency available, then things start to fall into places.
It seems like a whole new way to think amplification.
Absolutely. It was because the FBI rule, as I told you, is a law of physics. So the very first amplifiers that were designed some 80, 90, maybe 100 years ago from now, they were current amps. So why was it stopped? Because crossover parts are invisible to a current amp. A current amp pushes the current no matter what. You cannot simply filter it and say you stop at this and that frequency. A current amp will not respect this. Yeah? So you only can use it active.
This is a 3-watt amplifier, but what makes it so special is that it's had much more dynamic than a very big amplifier.
Correct, and much more control over the voice coil, because it really forces the voice coil to do what it wants. While in a voltage amplifier, the voltage just, begs. And the voice coil might or might not do what it wants. Actually, as this is a 3-watt amp and still not a small amp, we will have probably as one of the very, very few companies on the planet that have such high efficiency, the opportunity to use current amplification. Because if you do this now with speakers that are 20 dB less efficient, this control system that really forces the voice coil to do what you want will require not only 10 times or 20 times more power. It will go to almost infinite power requirements.
How much more will it cost to have it active than passive?
So if you choose to have the speaker as a passive version first, and after a year or two you say, yeah, but now I'm interested in what Avantgarde Acoustic could do for me, if this is really something I appreciate, then you pay some 30,000 euros extra for the pair.
You have, of course, tried it with many different amplifiers.
Oh, yes. And it took us, by the way, it took us 15 years. The development actually started 15 years ago to make this current amp idea really work for us. Yeah.
Have you ever heard an other amplifier connected passive that sound better?
No, it's not possible.
Hvordan låter egentlig de nye Trio til Avantgarde? Konklusjonen er vel at de låter veldig mye bedre enn jeg har hørt de noensinne før. Vi har jo hørt de på München-messa, og da har vi klaget på at det blir litt sånn lyd. Og det er spesielt når de spiller veldig høyt. Disse høyttalerne er helt motsatt av hvordan de ser ut. For de trives bedre på noen 80 dB enn de gjør på 90-100 dB. Men da tenker du, ja ok, men har de eksplosiv dynamikk da? Ja, det har de faktisk. Med 9 watt totalt per kanal, så det faktisk det mest eksplosive jeg har hørt noensinne. Bassen går ikke veldig dypt, ikke veldig fremtredende sånn. Den går kjappere enn dynamisk bass, men man mangler kanskje litt kjøtt på beinet. Vil du ha ekstrem presisjon i lydbildet, så ikke Avant Garde noe for deg. Men de blitt veldig mye bedre. Som han viste, så har du mer time alignment, og det høres. Man får mer dybde og mer presisjon i lydbildet enn man har hørt før. Mange synes jo at det enormt rart at en høyttaler til 2 millioner har masse kompromisser. Men det som greia med Avant Garde, det at de så sterke på det de sterke på. Og det gjør at veldig mange ikke kan leve uten de egenskapene. Rett og slett følelsen av å være på konsert, ikke bare overhøre en konsert. Husk at du må trykke like og abonnere på vår kanal, slik at vi kan lage flere videoer som dette.